You are exactly where you need to be. You are exactly when you need to be. You will never, ever miss out on anything that is meant for you. What if you're in a space that you don't love? What if you're in a space that you don't like? You can be in a space that's not ideal. You can be in a space that you want to get out of. You can be in a space that you're working to change. But where you are in this moment is where you are meant to be. Enjoy the journey, and instead of being so result driven and so destination focused, be in constant flow with life. I will allow myself 15 minutes of worry a day, and then I gotta wrap it up. I needed to feel it because at that point I just repressed it. Repressed emotions are always gonna resurface, and sometimes they resurface in even more harmful ways than the first time they appeared. Whomever you pray to, wherever you find your faith, lean into it. Remind yourself that you're not doing all of this alone. Releasing my need to control every single aspect of my future. What if I would have just done that? What if I would have just tried this? What if I would have just trusted this? The worst that can happen is you try it and you hate it. You try it and you hate it and you never have to do it again. Release the tension, relax my body, and allow myself to enjoy and exist in the pleasure of that moment. And on the other side of fear is joy. Every time I face a fear, I find pleasure. A lot of the things that we are afraid of as adults are things the kid in us and our younger selves wouldn't have been afraid of. We are not our anxiety. Our anxiety should not be our personality. I used to be someone who had panic attacks like clockwork. I have not had a panic attack in 2 years. There is another side. Take a deep breath in and release. What's good, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Obviously, we are outside today, the great outdoors. We are upstate New York in the Catskill area at this beautiful, beautiful Black-owned retreat called Boeing Retreat with the amazing nonprofit, A Safe Space Mentor. If you have watched any of my previous videos, you know I have mentioned them before, and I will be mentioning them, I'm sure, in the future. If you've been following me on Instagram, then you already know we are outside for the week. We are in nature. We are disconnected from everybody, from cell service, from the news, from pop culture, from the world, in community, existing in this space as it is right now. And it is very beautiful, so gorgeous. I love getting out in nature. I've never done a glamping experience before. We are in beautifully, luxuriously renovated 1970s RVs. On the outside, it looks like you stepped back in time, but on the inside, it's gorgeous, it's serene, it's been redone. You can just tell. It smells like firewood out here and just clean, beautiful, crisp air. In this video, we are going to dive into the importance of being where you are right now and knowing that where you are in this moment is where you are supposed to be. And I know that can be controversial, because what if you're in a space that you don't love? What if you're in a space that you don't like? What if you're in a space that you want to change? That is fine. You can be in a space that's not ideal. You can be in a space that you want to get out of. You can be in a space that you're working to change. But where you are in this moment is where you are meant to be. And I say that because I've learned just in the course of my life, but it's been echoed on this trip, that I need to focus on the journey. Bask in the journey, admire the journey, enjoy the journey, and instead of being so result driven and so destination focused. I think we love to focus on where we want to go, where we want to land, where we want to end up, but it's important to sometimes just appreciate where you are in this moment, because if you can't appreciate where you are in this moment, for better or worse, it might mean that you have a problem with being present in your body, being present in the moment. If you miss out on presence, then you miss out on a lot of the value that you're supposed to gain in this journey until you arrive to that destination. Because the destination really is the journey itself, right? But not to get too philosophical on y'all, but the destination isn't the end all be all. The journey has so much value that it adds to your life. And if you skip over all these moments, these learning moments, these lessons, these just beautiful experiences, the hardships, you will miss out on being molded for the destination that you're trying to reach. And it might turn out that you might actually not reach that destination because you're blowing past your journey and not learning and retaining any of the lessons that you're meant to learn and retain and apply to your life. I fell asleep last night with the intentions of waking up to watch the sunrise this morning. When I fell asleep, it was storming. It was supposed to be light rain for an hour. It turned into thunder, lightning, heavy rainfall. I mean, we woke up to broken branches. Some of the tubes that the retreat left us to go tubing in the lake were blown across the water. Some of the umbrellas were snapped in half. It was a storm. We embraced it. We didn't run from it. We actually had dinner in it. I mean, under a tent, you know, we're not just gonna sit in a thundery lightning rainstorm just getting wet with soppy burgers, but we enjoyed it. We existed in it. We found community in that space, and we just had as much fun as we could. You know, we took as much as we could from the experience, and it was a beautiful reminder that where we are is where we're meant to be, and we need to enjoy where we are because we'll miss these moments and we'll look back and wish we had them to cherish. So when I fell asleep last night to the soothing sounds of the rain that didn't start off so soothing, right? Because it was a little like, oh my gosh, is this camper trailer gonna hold up against this weather? But of course it did. I didn't set an alarm this morning to watch the sunrise. And normally when I'm back home, I watch the sunrise either on my roof or at the beach. So I always set an alarm so I can wake up and get myself together and get in position before the sun peaks. This morning I woke up and I could just see daylight starting to filter in through the window, right? And I was just like, crap, I missed my moment. The sun must have been risen. Then it dawned on me that it's actually not that bright. Let me check my phone. I checked my phone. It was 5:39. So I said, let me see what time the sun rises out here. The sunrise this morning was at 5:39, which means my body naturally woke me up the moment the sun also woke itself up. If that is not a testimony of I am where I'm meant to be in this moment, always, I was like, wow, I can't believe that the time I woke up and checked my phone is the exact time of the sunrise. And at first I was like, well, I must have already missed it. I might as well just stay in bed. But as soon as I turned over, I heard something say, get up. And so I rose. I said, cool, I'm meant to wake up. Let me get my butt up. I got up, got myself together, and I was outside. The world out here is very quiet already on its own, but it was even more quiet because no one was awake yet, right? Very few people are already out here camping because it is the middle of the week, but no one was up. None of our group was up. So I got my journal. I took myself, put on a hoodie, and I went over by the river. And I sat at the river, I listened to the soothing sounds of the rushing water, and I was reminded that I just need to flow. I just need to be in constant flow with life. Life is constantly moving, and I just need to flow with it. I don't need to force anything. I don't need to force alarms. I'm always gonna respond intuitively as I'm meant to. Sometimes we need those physical, kind of tangible reminders of that, and so I'm glad that God was like, whoa, 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 boo. You're fine. You are exactly where you're meant to be. This is exactly the right time that you are supposed to be in. So breathe. Yesterday we did a journaling exercise, and I'm going to get into this retreat experience a little bit later in another video. But the point of this retreat is relax, release, allow. Our lovely guide, Taya, the owner of A Safe Space Mentor, asked us, what do you intend to do to relax on this trip? What do you intend to release on this trip? And what do you intend to allow yourself to do on this trip? And we obviously all gave different answers. Don't worry, I got a video of mine. You will see the answers in the vloggy vlog. That's right, your girl is doing her first vloggy vlog. But one of the girls said, I will allow myself 15 minutes of worry a day, and then I got to wrap it up. And I was like, oh, that is so good. It's so authentic. Like, we are going to worry. We're going to have some doubt. We're going to have some fear sometimes. We're going to, have a little bit of that angst, that little bit of anxiety, and that's natural. But we don't need to sit in it. We don't need to let that become us, become our personality, become who we are. We don't need to allow that to dictate how we move in the world. I was like, I'm gonna take that. So when I woke up this morning and was by the water, I said, I'm gonna allow myself to feel this worry, this little bit of anxiety that I woke up late, because I kind of staved it off just to get myself together and out of bed. I needed to feel it, right? Because at that point, I just repressed it. And repressed emotions are always going to resurface. And sometimes they resurface in even more harmful ways than the first time they appeared. I didn't want to bury it. So I allowed myself to feel it. I poured it onto paper. I poured it all onto my journal. And then I got to a stopping point and I was like, I am so grateful. I am so grateful for the experiences that I've been having in just like my life in general, but especially in these past few months where I've really just been leaning into purpose, leaning into whatever God's plan is, leaning into whatever my intuition tells me, and releasing my need to control every single aspect of my future, right? I am a double earth sign. I'm a Capricorn, Taurus moon. I love a good plan. I love to be in control. I love to micromanage even. And these past 4 months have taught me that I need to control less, micromanage less, and release a lot more. So once I released that anxiety and that worry onto that page, I took some time to just exist in gratitude, to list out the things that I was thankful for, to have just a candid conversation, right, with God. And I get everybody doesn't pray to God, everybody has their own connection with spirituality. Whomever you pray to, wherever you find your faith, lean into it. Express your gratitude, extend that thankfulness. Remind yourself that you're not doing all of this alone. You're not manifesting all of this alone. You're not creating this life of yours all alone. Of course, you have to be active in the life that you want to create, right? We can't be passive over here. We were just talking about that in the last video. You got to be active, baby. You got to be about that action. At the same time, we're not doing this all alone. We are praying to something, to someone, to the universe, to God, to Allah, and we are seeing the results of that prayer, seeing the results of staying faithful, seeing the results of trusting our gut, listening to our intuition, asking our body, our hearts, our minds what we want, what we need, what we should do. And I just found myself feeling so full. And I don't think that feeling would have been able to come on if I didn't release that anxiety, if I didn't release the notion that I missed it, that I missed my moment. Like, if the moment is for me, if the moment is already mine, it's impossible to miss. We cannot miss what is meant for us. Even if we skip over it that first time, it's gonna circle itself back around, right? We can't miss what is meant for us. And it doesn't mean that sometimes it won't circle itself back around in a way where now it's circling to you and someone else, but it's gonna circle back around. So we're never gonna miss what's meant for us. I needed that reminder today, and I don't know who out there needs to hear it, but you are exactly where you need to be. You are exactly when you need to be. You will never, ever miss out on anything that is meant for you, because what is meant for you is already yours before it manifests itself in this tangible reality. As long as you stay true to your convictions, as long as you stay consistent in the habits and practices you need to get you to where you are trying to go, everything will always work out the way it is meant to. I've realized on this trip that just because we tackle things at one stage in our life, it doesn't mean they can't circle back around on us, right? And I've talked about this in a previous video before, of just like having to retackle things emotionally, mentally, spiritually, just because new layers of it will resurface. But this was something kind of different. So today we went tubing. I've never done tubing in a river. I've done snow tubing. River tubing is different. When you get on the snow tube, it just goes. Like, once it goes, it's going. In the river, we happen to be in a fairly shallow river, so there would be times where rocks would like bump our booty, not in a way that it would hurt, right? But it would just bump our booty and slow us down. And you could think of it as, "Oh, it's stopping my flow, it's stopping my vibe." But what if it was making you pause in that moment to see and bask in your surroundings? Sometimes when life forces us to pause, we need to look around and see why that pause is happening. We need to check in with ourselves and see if we're present in that moment, because maybe that pause is asking us to be more aware, to be more present, to exist in the moment. Maybe that pause is happening because there's something we need to notice, and recognize. put our attention towards. But things happen for a reason, right? Nothing happens by chance, even bad things. Even the storm last night coming out of nowhere, the way that it was never supposed to, kind of interrupting our fire pit s'mores situation. But you best believe we put the marshmallows on a knife, put them right over the little grill under the tent, and we had them s'mores, baby. It's all about adapting. Sometimes we just have to adapt to the changes in life, right? Adapt to how life decides to show up for us in that moment. Getting on that river in that tube was a little nervous at first because I hadn't done it before. I was scared the water would be too cold. I was scared that I wouldn't like the experience. I was scared of what might be in the water, right? That I maybe couldn't see. But once I got in it, the water felt so refreshing. It felt so good. Just seeing everybody in there laughing, enjoying themselves, figuring it all out, some of us for the first time. I was just like, yeah, there's no reason to be fearful. There's no reason to be, Y'all, the bugs, it's been nature 10, us 0 the last 2 days. Anyways, I forgot what I was even saying. But yeah, just like seeing everybody enjoy their experience and exist in that moment, it's just like, how can I not dive into this experience head first and just see what happens? See what if I like it. Like, the worst that can happen is you try it and you hate it. You try it and you hate it and you never have to do it again. But I would hate to not try and have that regret of that what if I would have just done that? What if I would have just tried this? What if I would have just trusted this? So I never like to have that. I don't want to have regrets. I don't want to live my life with what ifs. I want to just do, know, and adapt. Do, know, and adapt. So we did the river tubing and we got to a point where it started getting a little bit rougher. The water was moving a little faster and we wanted to be safe, right? Because we're unsupervised. Nobody here is a professional. The water is already shallow, so the rocks are right there front and center. So we didn't want to have anybody flip over in the fast water and hit their head on a rock or hurt themselves, smacking their face into a branch. Somebody almost did get taken out by a branch. Y'all see it in the vlog. that river tubing was an experience, okay? But I'm glad that I just did it and jumped in. So after we realized, okay, we tried this, it's not really working out as we thought it would, let's pivot. Let's try something else. So we decided to hike to a nearby waterfall. It was maybe a 20 or 30-minute hike, and we passed several small little waterfalls along the way. We had to walk through some waterways. Shout out to Teva. You know, this is not sponsored, but I love them Teva sandals down because they can hike, they can get wet, they can get in a lake, they can go to the beach, they can do all of it. When we arrived at the waterfall, I had the intention of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get in, but that's because I thought it would be like a lot of just water to be in. I didn't intend to get in the waterfall, I just intended to get in the water, right? When we got there, the amount of water that you can actually exist in was very small. So you kind of had to become one with that waterfall. And I was a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie. Although we are just in cool water, although just last month I literally did a 3-minute ice bath. That was different. That 3-minute ice bath was on a rooftop in Brooklyn under 90-degree sunny weather. This was a waterfall under completely shaded forest, and it wasn't cold, it just wasn't super hot either. So I was like, I'm not so sure. But then Taya and our lovely yoga instructor, Larice, they just kind of went for it. Got into that water, got into that waterfall, and they were just like, and then they were laughing and smiling, and it looked so joyful and so playful. And I was like, the inner child in me was like, ooh, I need to join in. I am missing out. There's a girl, Layla, here who is a Taurus. Shout out to her. My Taurus moon loves a Taurus down. And she was like, I'll do it. And so I'm like, okay, let's do it together. Sometimes when we find ourselves facing a fear, in front of a fear, if there's community around you, tackle that fear together. There's no reason why you should have people around you, have community around you, have your loved ones around you, strangers around you, and you're tackling your fears alone. Like, if your fear is like kind of halting you and stopping you, tackle it together, but tackle it. I had already decided on my own, like, I'm gonna do this, but when Layla said I'm also gonna do this, I was like, okay, let's hold hands, let's do this and enjoy this experience together. And I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad I threw caution to the wind. I'm so glad I just embraced the experience, faced the fear head on, just dove right in there. And not only did I face the fear, right? Because you get in the cold water and you're like this. Once I just released, relaxed, released, I allowed myself to be so free. And I was like, this is the purpose of this relax, release, allow retreat. I had to release the tension, relax my body, and allow myself to enjoy and exist in the pleasure of that moment. And all of a sudden, the water wasn't as cold. All of a sudden, the really cold water became extremely refreshing water. And I was like, wow, I almost missed out on this. I actually went back. I had such a good time. I went in there for a second time. Not only that, but I laid in the shallow part of the waterfall and I dove underwater, almost like a baptism. I've never even been baptized as an adult, but I imagine it would be a similar experience. It was a very spiritual experience, and I'm glad to have been able to do that in community, in such a like-minded space, in such a supportive group of beautiful, spirited women. It was everything you could imagine it to be and then some. Again, another stark reminder that I am where I am meant to be. Yes, Lynn. Come on, because I must be talking that shit. I am where I am meant to be exactly when I am meant to be. And as long as I lean into that and I don't tense up in those moments and I just relax into those moments, it's just like your whole perspective shifts. I went from being afraid to existing in joy. And I feel that on the other side of fear is joy. Every time I face a fear, I find pleasure every single time. There has not been a time where I've tackled a fear head on and did not find pleasure, joy, fun on the other side. I think a lot of the things that we are afraid of as adults are things the kid in us and our younger selves wouldn't have been afraid of. Is something that the kid in us would have just done without thinking, would have just impulsively acted upon. And I think as life experiences kind of bog us down and jade us and give us these biases, we start to put these walls up, these guards up that protect us from getting hurt again, from just experiencing pain again. And I'm just kind of like, girl, get over yourself. Get over yourself, okay? Like, the world is so much bigger than me and my personal experiences and my personal fears and my personal anxieties and my personal worry and my personal doubt. And it's not to just push that anxiety and those feelings off to the side. It's just to be reminded of how small all of that is in the hindsight of everything. We are not our anxiety. Our anxiety should not be our personality. I used to be someone who had panic attacks like clockwork. I mean, all the time. I have not had a panic attack in 2 years. Not to say I haven't experienced panic or hadn't like anxiety attack, but I have not had a panic attack in 2 years. And if you've had a panic attack before, it literally feels like you're dying. It literally feels like your heart is going to thump out of your chest, like the oxygen is escaping your body without any way of coming back in. It is terrifyingly scary to go through panic attacks, and it can be really hard to climb out of. But I went from a girl who used to panic like it was nobody's business. I just thought I have panic anxiety. I literally told myself I had panic anxiety, and I wore that like a badge of honor for years. And for what? Because this girl today, she don't even know her. That is a foreign person. Panic attacks? And it's not to say if you are dealing with panic attacks, like, oh, like, no. If you're dealing with panic attacks, that is a real thing. And I'm sorry that that is your experience. And I promise there is another side. That is not going to be the rest of your life. You have to be an active participant in changing and kind of stopping yourself from having residual panic attacks, but don't beat yourself up for it. You have those panic attacks for a reason. They were triggered for a reason, right? And you just have to unpack that reason. I just bring that up to say, like, once upon a time, I was this, and I took on that label so strongly. And now I'm entirely different. I am not a micromanager. I throw caution to the wind like it's nobody's business. I have fun, as much fun as I can. I let the seriousness of life just go. And not to say I'm not serious when I need to be, but just to say that I relax a lot more than I tense up when going through life. I know this video is just like kind of a candid conversation, but yeah, I just felt like I felt called to talk to you all about the importance of trusting that you are where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be. And I know I keep saying that, but I'm going to keep saying that until you believe it, until it is drilled into your brain. Sometimes we have to repeat things until it sinks in, right? Until we fully comprehend what it is we're saying, what it is we're hearing. You are where you are meant to be right now. You are when you are meant to be right now. And gain and take as much as you can from where you are in this present moment, because you likely won't be here again. For better or worse, maybe you love where you are right now, but it won't exist forever. Maybe you hate where you are right now, but again, it won't exist forever. It won't. You have to trust yourself. You have to lean into your faith. You have to trust your higher power, trust your higher self, trust your intuition to never steer you wrong. I needed a breath after that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you all are enjoying your process. You all are trusting your gut to lead you where you need to be. And you all are not panicking or worrying that you're missing your moment or missing your time. I am 31 years old launching this YouTube channel. I had a whole different career before this. And now I'm getting into something that I've never really done before, something that's very new to me, and I'm really enjoying it here. Oh my God, is it raining? Oh my God, it's starting to rain. So I think I have to wrap this video up because I need to protect my phone and my equipment. I'm just gonna embrace the fact that the rain is coming to cleanse out the energy, to cleanse out this moment. So let's just close out by saying this. You are where you're meant to be. You are when you're meant to be. Trust yourself, trust that, trust your higher power. And what would it be without a guided little breathwork experience in this rain? Take a deep breath in and release. Now, when you take this next deep breath in, I want you to take the breath and tense your whole body in. And then when you release that breath, relax your entire body. So in and tense. Okay, beautiful people, I hope you got something out of this conversation. I love you all down. Thank you for showing up for me for another week. Stay tuned for next week because we are doing a vloggy vlog, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.